All right, this is a awesome opportunity, and I'm so happy for this episode. I'm here with my brother, Kevin Brownlee.
Yo, man.
And this guy here we've gone way back.
We met at a gas station.
We met at a gas station in the middle of the country of Canada, and here we are now, where we've actually both lived in this condo here in Vancouver. When I went traveling to the Middle East when I was gone for a couple months.
13 years ago.
Yeah, 13 years ago, I went traveling for a few months, and you were staying here for those couple months, and now you're back here just as I'm flying out and you're jetting to another event. So
yeah.
It's been a wild 13 years, and I haven't seen you much besides
It's been a couple of years, I think, that we've been able to catch up. So
and then you returned the favor when I came back to Vancouver a couple years ago when you had a place up on
Kerrisdale.
Yeah, I stayed there for like 1 or 2 nights on my way to Edmonton, I think.
When I was up South Granville, that's right.
I remember it was like not downtown, but it was like
South Granville. Yeah, I had that spot for a number of years. So
yeah, it was awesome.
It's full circle, right?
So we're homies from way back, and Kevin's been doing some amazing things, and I actually haven't heard all the crazy stuff he's been doing. He just told me his travel schedule, and I was like, man, I thought I had a hectic travel schedule, but what's been happening, man?
So I've transitioned from the bar, and now I'm on the ambassador side of the game. So it's been a wonderful transition. It hasn't been as easy as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I would say that I have a really special job because these positions don't come around very often, and I'm so grateful to be in the position that I'm in today. But you know, going back to bartending and transitioning out of it. One of the greatest joys for me in bartending is that there's an opportunity to meet new people every day.
Yeah, and you're such a people person.
Like yourself.
Well, the thing is, we've walked the exact same path almost. Like, we were playing basketball in the same city. We both came out to the West Coast. Yeah. You got me hooked up with the teaching gig at the Vancouver Public School.
That's
Remember
right.
when you were involved in that?
That's right.
So we were both teaching here in Vancouver as assistants. And then we did something else, and I got you the job at the surf camp. You were in Tofino for a while, when I was doing the surf camp in Tofino. So we worked together there, and you were like, remember that? Because you know what?
That minibus?
Yeah. And you were like you were the cook.
I cooked it up.
Yeah, I think you were the cook, right? I think you were the cook.
Holy smokes, dude.
Yeah,
That was a decade ago.
And I found a picture of us in my parents' place of Tofino.
Oh, man. A couple of young boys.
Yeah.
Old boys at that point, you know. It's so funny to think about how far you've come along, not really knowing where our trajectory. Life is unpredictable.
But then after that, you went to Asia to teach in China.
That was.
And then I followed in
What did I do? I went back to China at that time. To travel when you were back around. That's right. There was a visit you had home that I was away, and I went back because I had taught English in China after university.
How long were you in China for?
For a year.
Only 1 year. I thought you were there longer.
Yeah, no, it's just a year. It was after I was at the University of Manitoba for a year, and then that wasn't my avenue. And I got out and I took a TEFL certification, and I started teaching English, and I went overseas and I taught English for a year in China in Chongqing, and then I came back. And when I got back, I started continuing to work in education, and I'd always been in the service industry. I'd always worked in restaurants since I was 15.
Okay. And
so it kind of was in our bloodline. I mean, my uncles worked in restaurants, my brother worked in restaurants.
Yeah.
It just kind of fit it, and it suits my personality.
Oh, for sure.
Really well. And you know, I worked at the Vancouver School Board for 6 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was an incredible.
And we had a couple of days that we were at the same school.
That's
we were
right.
placed at the same school.
Dude.
Remember, I showed up and here's Kevin, and you're like, "Hey, man,
dude."
Yeah, remember?
Oh man, you got a better memory than I do. That's for sure.
Well, I don't know. I think what it is, man. I think it's just being back in this environment because I've been gone for so long, and I've just been flooded with all these things. And when I see someone,
8 years now.
Yeah, I've been almost 8, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I see someone, I just trigger, like, when's the last time I saw you? What was the circumstances in this? So, like, I remember seeing you just come in my door here. I'm just like, I had all these, just like the last one we connected and stuff. And yeah, like, I've literally kind of followed your kind of, you know, similar path.
We've had similar trajectories, that's for sure. It's about taking care of what you need to take care of and achieving goals, right? And shooting for the stars, because that's where we got to go.
And then, you know, you shoot from the moon, at least you land on the stars.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Well, let me ask you, for people that are maybe in a similar situation that are wanting to transition, like we have both pivoted a few times, what would it take to become, like, maybe share how freaking amazing what you're doing is now, like with what you've up to and how that started and what it led to.
Yeah, all right. So I mean, like, you know, in always working in restaurants, it was in the capacity of whether I was doing support work or I was serving on the floor. But like
you were at Earl's, right?
I was at Earl's. That was my first gig when I was living here in this place.
I was with Carlin at Earl's for lunch today.
How's that guy doing?
Colin's doing amazing, dude.
Oh man, I ran into him a while back.
Yeah,
I don't remember where it was at. But
I can connect you guys, dude. You guys should connect.
John is your other
Yeah,
guy,
I was with John last night. Yeah.
I haven't seen that in years, but you know, so I was at Earl's and I was working as a server, trying to get in with the school system at that time.
Yeah.
And it's a bureaucratic nightmare. There's a shortage of teachers. There was a shortage of male support workers. And eventually, I got my way in, and then I left Earl's and I took about a 2-year break from the industry.
Yeah.
And just did that, focused on working with at-risk youth and with children who had special needs. And then I realized that I needed to make a bit more money, and so I took a bartending gig on the side, and I started to work my way through that. And then it was 2008, and I went over to Scotland. I lived in Scotland for a while.
I never knew that. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've seen each other since then, but I don't know if that was a new conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went over there. I chased my heart over there, and I was with a girl who is still a very good friend of mine. We're not together anymore, but I went over there and I was bartending and working in social services. And she got on to do her MBA, and her father was tenured staff, so she got a nice ticket to take care of her $50,000 educational program. So we cashed in on that, and she got her MBA, and we were together for another few years after that. And then I got back and I started bartending, and you know, I think the biggest thing with bartending, it's a professional trade, and a lot of these kids that come up now, you know, they want the gratitude, they want that status immediately, and it's not something that comes overnight.
I think the other thing too, like guys mostly just say it's a great way probably to meet girls. You know, like they think of it like, hey, I'm out. There's like, you know, all eyes are on me, kind of.
Yeah, but you're only really gonna meet good girls if you're a great guy.
Yeah,
you know, like you gotta have a personality for it. You gotta be willing to take the punches. You're gonna put up with some shit.
Yeah, you know, like, right. Well, I remember I worked at I don't know if you know this or not, but I worked at the Canby when I first moved to Vancouver.
I remember that.
Yeah, and that place is like
that's
a freaking like that's a scene.
It's a dust up there. That's like old school saloon.
Yeah,
modern day saloon.
Yeah. So like when I think of my limited bartending experience, but I also bartended in Australia. I bartended my way around Australia actually. Like,
very different scenes, right? Like the Australian bartending scene is incredibly elevated. Some of the world's best, some of the Vancouver's best bartenders are Australian.
Yeah.
You know, and they pay accordingly. It's a little bit higher cost of living. You know, there's not really a tip culture here, and I think one of the things
here or there.
There,
yeah, exactly.
The tip culture here in Vancouver is bar none greater than anywhere else in the world. I mean,
in the world,
I would argue that. I mean, you don't go to you go to London to find a mentor to cut your cloth and to learn your way through the game. But there's a lot of bartenders in the city who aren't, you know, they're good bartenders, but they're not bartenders that would be in this sort of cocktail scene per se. Even though they might be making cocktails, you know, they're working at a place and they're making really good money.
So what's really good money for a bartender?
You could pull your daily wage plus $250 a day in tips. So you work 5 nights a week, you average that out over the course of the week, you have a bad night at $150, you're making $200 a night in cash. You know, that's a lot of money. So, you know, it is a totally viable, lucrative career to take, but it's one thing to make it a career just for the money, it's another thing to pursue a goal. And that's what separates the best from the rest.
Let me ask you this, the lifestyle, your nights gone.
It can be, yeah, it can be.
Is it a hectic? Cause I remember when I was working at a few bars and stuff, or doing nights, doing promo. Remember when I did those promos up at Granville Street with those promotional girls? And that was with Imperial Tobacco. So I was out all the time, and I was just like, it took a toll eventually.
Yeah.
You know, like do you see that with people? You know?
Oh yeah, man. Like I can't. I would be lying if I wasn't honest and to say that there were some social restraints that were, you know, that I felt in my life. Some of my relationships struggled. It might be part of the reason that me and my ex didn't work out, but I'm so grateful now that my fiance is super patient.
Exactly, and congratulations on that once again.
Yeah, she's a treat. She's a real gem. Yeah. So, but you know, like, I think any success that we want to find in life, there's going to be some leeway that has to be given. There's some things that go by the wayside. And unfortunately, with the in-service industry, is that, you know, for the most part, the friends that you make are the people you work with, and it's harder to meet people as adults unless you're an extreme extrovert.
Yeah.
You know, and you're socially engaged, and you got hobbies, and you're getting out there and you're trying new things, and you're getting out to see what other people are doing, because if you're interested in people, naturally people are going to be interested in you. If you're kind and you're compassionate,
just be a good dude, like you said.
Be a good dude. Just be a good human. That's you should be fucking like, you gotta get that stamp. And I think that's like, it's like you get your driver's license once, and then you're gonna be a bad driver your whole life, and you never have to drive your car for a test again. You should have to get good human stamps throughout the course of your life, because I mean, let's be honest, we need each other.
Yeah, man.
You know, we need each other. It makes it a lot easier, and I just feel so blessed that I've had the life that I've had. For sure. I've had my struggles. I've had my challenges. You know, part of it when I was bartending is I was working 5 nights a week minimum, managing a bar.
Yeah. What happened with that place? Because you launched. Were you part of like
Annalena?
So what was?
They're killing it.
So how were you involved in it? 'Cause I remember seeing a bunch of posts you were doing about that, but I didn't know if you were like an owner in that or like.
No. Okay. So I worked with, when I got back from Scotland, I ended up working at a place called Coast on Alberni Street here in Vancouver, and I was working with Mikey Robbins, who was the sous chef at the time. And you know, we had amicable relations, but we didn't really have a connection.
Yeah.
And 2015, when we opened Annalena, Jeff Parr.
It's a cool name, actually. Yeah.
It's the names of his 2 grandmothers.
Oh.
So one of his, I think Lena just turned 100 years old this year.
100.
100.
A hundy.
Yeah,
Wow.
Full hundy. Keep that in the ear, the hundy, because there's something coming up with those boys. So, you know, they got stuff in the works. But you know, I was in a bartending competition, which is an avenue that not all bartenders choose to go down, but some choose to do, and there's tons of opportunity based around that. And it's kind of how I got into my role today as an ambassador to Bacardi.
So yeah, maybe you want to talk about what you're doing now and how just like freaking sweet that is.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it sounds pretty ridiculous.
So
that's what I like to do here, is highlight people that are just really doing awesome stuff, and I'm very lucky that I have a large network of people doing freaking awesome stuff. So that's why I'm wanting to get you on here and share it and learn more about it myself.
Yeah, it's nice to connect and to give scope to it too.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because oftentimes people say, "Oh, well, what is it that you do?" Well, I'm a portfolio ambassador for Bacardi, so I'm based on a trade advocacy team. You know, our head office is in Miami. We've got a huge team in the United States on this trade advocacy side. And we've built this program up, and it's come into Canada now, so I have colleagues in Toronto and Montreal. So as a portfolio ambassador, my responsibility is in cocktail menu development, brand training, events, and just general industry support. Yeah. Because, you know, I don't have to, while I'm not too focused on sales metrics, my metric is in relationships.
And that's what you're so good at. That's a perfect fit for you, man.
I'm lucky, man.
That's really awesome.
I'm lucky, you know, so in building those relationships, it's getting people excited about the brands that I work with. Yeah. There's a tremendous amount of travel. Yeah. So
maybe just tell me, like, as soon as I come in on what's going on, what's happening, and you're like, I'm going to just say that same schedule, because that I got tired just listening to that, man.
So I've just had the last 4 weeks here in town in Vancouver, which has been nice because it's prime time in Vancouver.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But if I backtrack a bit before I get ahead of myself, going back the month of July into May, it was New Orleans. I was in Toronto. I was in Los Angeles. I was in Winnipeg.
Oh.
I went to a music festival in there because you got to get your kicks. What else did I have? I had another trip to Toronto. But coming up, so what are we today? Saturday night? 25th of August. Tomorrow, I'm going out of town on a leisure trip with a couple buds for a few days, then I'm back for a week. I go to Toronto 2 days to do some events with Toronto International Film Festival with my colleagues in Toronto. And then I fly to London to support and mentor the 16 bartenders that are representing North America to compete for the Global Championship and the Global Bartending Competition for Bombay Sapphire Most Managed Bartender. So I'll be in London for a week, back for a couple days. I'm in Winnipeg for 2 days to do some trainings with the Manitoba Liquor Commission. Back for 10 days, and I'm in Winnipeg for my brother's wedding. I'm back for a week, and then I'm in Wisconsin. And then it's just, you know, and then all of a sudden we're the 20th of October. So it's
not a bad, next couple months.
No, not a bad next couple months. It's great.
That's
it takes its toll.
Yeah,
but I'm fit for it.
Speaking of our mutual friend Carlin, like I had lunch with him today, and he's like, man, like same thing. And he was in like all over the place because he's doing finance stuff, and it's a lot, trips and stuff. And he's like, he's like, it's awesome, but it's also exhausting. He's like, it's awesome and exhausting, So I can, I definitely get that. No, well, like I said, man, take advantage of this awesome opportunity that's coming your way. I know we're limited on time. My last question that I want to touch on: drinking. What's up with that? Do you see that the bartenders are like, people control it? Does it get out of control? What's some crazy stories or things you've seen in the bar scene? Let's just kind of spill some beans here.
I mean, there's a lot of alcohol makes people do some silly things, right?
Yeah.
And I think I've been quite fortunate in the establishments that I've worked at that they've been food focused, so they're restaurants with cocktail programs.
And there's a lot of that stuff here.
I mean, you're not going to get a liquor primary license in Vancouver for cheap.
Yeah.
They don't really give them away. There are a few of them in town, and I mean, I've had my nights where I've had too much to drink. I've definitely been on the bar working where I've served people who have had too much to drink and you can't serve them anymore, and that's a difficult conversation to have with someone.
Yeah, right.
But ultimately, bartenders are looking out for people. They're trying to show people a good time. They're trying to facilitate.
It's hectic, man.
It's hectic.
I remember doing it. I'm like, I have a whole different. When you're behind the bar, it's a whole different scene than when you're out partying.
But the thing too now is, I think collectively, collectively as a society, I can't speak for the world over, but I know here in Vancouver and especially in North America, there's greater awareness for emotional intelligence.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And recognizing. If people are going through a hard time, that maybe the best thing they need is not a drink.
Yeah.
If someone comes in and says, I've had a hard day, I'm going through a divorce. It's like, you don't actually need a drink. What you need is someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Here's something. If you want a drink, of course I'll serve you a drink.
Right.
But there's a big play right now because people are really acknowledging and accepting that other people go through things that we don't understand. It's the no and low. So there's non-alcoholic drinks and there's low ABV cocktails. The low ABV cocktails don't necessarily have whiskeys and gins and tequilas. It's more like vermouths and sherries and things that are still enjoyable to consume.
Yeah.
But they're not going to change the way that you behave.
What's your favorite drink?
The hanky panky.
Oh yeah, what is that? Is that your?
No, the hanky panky was the hanky panky was a drink that was created by Ada Coleman at the Savoy at the American Bar in London.
Okay.
And like many great things, it sort of happened on the whim. And it's a mix of gin, sweet vermouth, a little bit of Fernet. And when the gentleman came in over, he said, I would need something big and strong. And Ada Coleman, being one of the most prolific bartenders of her time, in hindsight, she created this drink. And when the man had it at his table, he said, by golly, it's the hanky panky. And so it's a big spirit forward drink, but it's got a lot of herbal notes to it.
Yeah.
Overall ABV after dilution, it's probably sitting somewhere around 20-22%. So. Well,
listen, man, I know we don't have time tonight for a drink, but I definitely want to have one of your delicious cocktails next time. I actually don't drink anymore, actually.
Oh wow, good for you.
Yeah, I've been
awesome.
a year and a half. Well, like when I say that, I mean like I'll go out for
a glass of wine
a drink
or
or two, but I cut it off at like 2.
That's great.
So I've been sober for a year and a half.
Yeah, and
I did it as a test. I did it for a month on January 1st, 2017. That month went so unbelievably well. Like I'm just gonna keep going. Another month, and then here I am, a year and a half.
Good for you.
Like I still go out. I got at a club last night till 3 a.m.
Still got it.
Yeah. I was at the venue. I was at the venue last night on Granville Street. It's like 3 a.m. This international Colombian party, and I had like 1 beer the whole night. That's it.
Yeah, you know what, man, it's good. And I found that now that I'm on the brand ambassador side, the sort of lineage is, cut your teeth, pay your dues, work your way up, get some mentorship. Become a bartender, work at it for a few years. Don't think that you're going to be the best of the best after 6 months. It's just not going to happen. And then the road is like, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to continue in bar management? Do I want to change venues? Do I want to open my own venue?
Yeah.
If fortunately you can get there's lots of possibilities, right? And you can get to the brand side,
The branding in Vancouver, alcohol, next thing, weed. What's your thoughts on that? They're everywhere. I can't believe it's freaking. There's more weed shops than coffee shops downtown.
I have a bit. I mean, I smoke weed, right? I smoke a fair amount of weed, but I have a bit of an issue with it in the sense that, you look at these 420 celebrations that take place every April 20th, and it was originally the sentiment behind it was a protest for legalization. Okay. Legalization is coming. Now you look down at what goes on in English Bay on April 20th, and it's like 50,000 minors.
50,000?
Easily. There's fucking shit tons of people down there
Wow.
just getting stoned. You got all these people who are unlicensed distributors of marijuana. They're making baked goods, they're making gummies, they're selling pre-rolled joints, and they're selling to people without carding them. And you have police standing by, not doing anything.
Yeah.
I can't even have a cigarette on the sidewalk. I don't smoke anymore, but I can't have a cigarette on the sidewalk without getting shit for it. But you got all these minors and mixed people, mixed age people, all these range of demographics smoking weed, buying weed. It's technically still illegal.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be legal. I'm glad it's going to be legalized. Yeah. There's a huge play into it. I think we need to be really careful about how we incorporate marijuana into cocktails, because you're looking at a double-edged sword there, right?
That's like, man, I was like all my, because I went right from here. I was in Vancouver for a week, and then I went to Alberta for 3 weeks. When I got here, I went out with Carlin, and he showed me this place. You know, like I don't smoke, but we just walked in, and I was like, there was just couches of people just with huge bongs, and I thought it was in Amsterdam, because when I was in Amsterdam, I did used to smoke like 10 years ago. But yeah, like I'm just, and my thought is right away, I'm like, this is going to be the new Amsterdam, because it's a way nicer city, way better climate, and it's already an international hub, and all, like I already see it's way more international here than it was when I was living here 7-8 years ago.
Oh, totally. I mean, diversity in the city is a big thing, right? And you know, I think there are a number of health benefits to marijuana.
Probably, would you say it's healthier than alcohol? Like, if you look at it like alcohol or weed, what is actually a better?
That's a really good question.
Yeah,
because that's a really good question. I think psychologically they both have the same benefits, taken in moderation. Yeah. But health benefits definitely marijuana. Yeah, for sure. I mean, alcohol's a poison. Alcohol's a poison, and people abuse it, right? Not that people don't abuse marijuana. Yeah. But you know, you look at the CBD use and how it mitigates seizures and how
absolutely.
That. You know, like there's tons of benefits to it. Sure. But the thing about marijuana today is that marijuana today is so fucking strong. It's so strong, right? Like, the thing about the weed that I smoked as a teenager, this swag stuff that I was getting, it's like, oh great, you know. And now you get it, it's like, I need a toot, I need one toot, and then that's it, and then I'm like set, really? Yeah. And I'm off. If too much of this stuff, and I can't think. So, you know, it goes to show that the evolution of the marijuana as a product, as a species, has evolved far past our ability to process it. Mm-hmm. But we're coming to a point where, you know, are we in a golden age of marijuana? Maybe. But you know, is there a point at which there's no return? For sure, we're past all that. There's no point of return anymore. Where the trajectory of life is well beyond its means.
I'm totally It's gonna be interesting, man. Well, this has been super interesting, man. I'm so stoked that we got to catch up and do this. Like, literally, this is the only conversation we're having while we're connected, because you just came in, we started rolling this, taping it, and now we're both heading out because
there'll be a little bit of off-record conversation that takes place, because nobody needs to know some of that. But you know what? This has been a real treat.
Yeah, man, and dude, I'm just so impressed with everything you're doing, and I can't wait to see more.
My brother.
All right, man.
My brother.
Yeah,
cheers, man.
That's great.
Appreciate it.
For sure.